Welcome back to the show, guys. It's Darryl.
I'm Roy.
Myron.
And Leontine.
And today we're going to talk about competitive powerlifting. So you two are competitive powerlifters. You guys are highly competitive powerlifters. You've even been a national champion multiple times. And Roy, you are also, I think, getting ready to get some championships, even in that weight class. I think if we have a little bit of patience, you're going to put down some serious numbers.
The goal was to get on the podium for SBD Cup last year. It didn't happen, so it's still a goal for this year.
Hey, it's just a matter of time.
Yep.
And Myron, you are not a competitive powerlifter.
True.
So we're going to have your more new to the topic point of view. And I've only competed once. I love powerlifting as a sport, but I've always had more of an affinity for coaching. That's my passion. That's what I love to do. And I figured just not to be a hypocrite, I got to compete at least once to just know what the experience really is, so I don't have to assume. I think I'm overdue for competition again, so I think I might be joining SBD Cup this year, just to make sure that I can not see myself as a hypocrite coach. You know, practice what you preach.
It's gonna be an Iron House party at SBD Cup.
It's gonna be a hell of a party. Got so many people competing, so might be even a good time for Myron to make his debut as a coach.
Should I join?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God. Can I coach you?
What's your weight?
Sure.
What's your weight?
86 yesterday.
And you deadlifted 200.
220
220.
yesterday. Yeah.
Okay, but that was like a nonchalant, fucking comfortable. Okay, so if we get you two together, might make something happen.
That would be really cool.
You just see us like you squatted 170 beginning of the week, right?
180.
180, super comfortable. Like fucking like. Do you have knee sleeves on?
Yeah.
Okay, didn't look like it. So, the topic of today is going to be competitive powerlifting. Competitive powerlifting has actually been really hot lately. There's a lot of new competitors. Competition is back. We're out of lockdown now, so we can we can start competing again. We just had our mock meet, which was a smashing hit. That was really, really fun. It was a really good time. So there seems to be a lot more animo again for the sport. Seems to be kicking up again. I feel like there was a time a few years back where it kind of dipped a little bit. Competitions were smaller, a lot of like cancellations. But now it feels like we're coming back. There's a new wave of competitors coming. So I think this is an interesting time to talk about it. Because the season right now, I believe, is almost done, right? We have NK, we've had the beginning competition, the beginner's website, also the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I think the season runs till generally about this period where like Open Nationals is and the season starts again when like
SBD Cup.
right
it's
after
September.
summer.
It's from September until June.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
something
there's
like that.
one more competition end of June, and then it's over.
You're right.
Yeah.
Are you guys talking about the mock meet from Strength Valley, or is that another one?
No, there's a official competition at Northside Barbell.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So we've also had the Masters NK. We've had the Juniors of Juniors. So like the first half of the years where like a lot of competition happened besides SBD Cup. You guys know, is DRC still a thing? DRC Cup?
I don't think that it has been last season.
No, but because the last couple of years or the last times it was in December, which was lockdown time. Like
Oh yeah,
the
okay,
last
cool.
couple
Exactly,
That makes sense.
yeah.
That makes sense.
I think that's the main reason why it hasn't happened last year.
All right. So let's get into the meat of it. How and when did the two of you start powerlifting? As an athlete, not as a coach, or did you start powerlifting? How long ago? When? Paint us a picture.
Well, powerlifting. I think it's been. When did I did my first competition in 2017? So I think a year and a half before that. So let's say 2015, 16 I started.
So 7 years, 6, 7 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And
The beautiful noise.
yeah, I got a little distracted there. So I started with CrossFit because that seemed really cool. And then I found out that I am good with anything barbell. Well, I enjoy doing anything barbell.
You're good
related.
with anything barbell. That's okay.
And I
Be humble. I'll boast for you.
I really did not enjoy doing any bodyweight exercises. I did not enjoy running. I did not enjoy burpees. I could not do any pull-ups and still can't. But anything barbell related, I really enjoyed doing.
But yesterday, you did pull off double unders.
I did. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So,
But I had good teachers. Yes.
hey. Hey.
Yeah. So so I thought, okay, I'm gonna do what I enjoy doing, and then I found powerlifting. So
Was it the same gym, the same box also?
no, it was not at the same box. I found a coach. It's funny how Facebook just sent me an ad that got me in contact with a coach, and I contacted him, and we started on his first. It was a first trajectory of coaching people towards competition. Just even beginner, like people who have never even done squat, bench, deadlift, to at least have a goal at the end of the trajectory.
Yeah.
So
And the end of that trajectory that you started was your first competition too, I guess.
yeah, and it was just a gym meet,
Okay.
but it was fun as well because it was just working towards something with a group of people. It was really, really fun. Yeah. And then after that, I thought, okay, so this is cool. I am actually pretty decent at lifting weight. So let's start. Let's do a official competition. And then I did. And then I really enjoyed that. And I just kept doing that ever since.
And the rest is history still being made.
Yeah.
What about you? What's your start?
Well, I'll start with when I started training. I started doing strength training in September 2012.
That's specific.
Very specific.
Yeah, hell specific.
Because
September.
it's basically that's my birthday, so that's
Ah.
why I remember pretty clearly. So started doing just normal barbell training, and eventually found like, hey, there's a sport where you can lift barbells and lift like heavy weights. So I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. And I wanted to do a competition during the summer of 2016, but I was too late to sign up, so there was no more place.
Oh.
Which competition was it?
I think it was when the DRC Cup was still in the summer, so something like June.
Yeah, then that's like when Iron House just started, I think.
And eventually my first competition ended up being the SPD Cup in September 2016, where I totaled, I believe, 510 kilos.
Break it down for us. And how were what lifts? Squat, bench, deadlift?
I squatted 190, benched 110 kilos, and deadlifted
Don't worry about the math.
210 kilos. Yeah,
Okay,
210.
nice.
Yeah. And I ended up missing my first squat because I walked forwards too fast because you got to wait for the rack command.
Yeah.
No. Okay, well, it's even funnier than that because I'll show you guys the video afterwards, but if you watch the video, you step me forwards, then I'm like, fuck, I got to wait for the rack command. And it's like, see me like freeze for a second, and I'm like, okay,
no.
now it's already...
It's like you're
already
like trying to mess with
Yep.
the judges, like
Yeah.
no.
Then I did the same thing on my bench. I think I got my opener, then I re-racked my second attempt too quickly. Yeah, with a lot of mistakes.
You sound like a athlete I had once at the SPD Cup too. That we prepared so well and everything was going good, but he refused to wait for the damn commands. Every single time he would get so in his head in the moment and so happy about making the lift that everyone's like, yeah, like, oh no, like before the judge even said like no rep, the whole crowd would go like, you didn't wait for the command.
Well, at least I have a good excuse because I didn't have a coach, so I was just stupid myself.
True, it's probably more my fault than was his anyway.
And by now I've done 10 competitions.
Damn, that's a lot. 10 competitions and across 2016 you said, so let's say
2016.
Yeah, 17, 18, 7, 8 years. There's a lot of competitions. There's at least one a year. How much have you done, you think?
I don't know. I think about the same. Maybe a little less, maybe 8. No, it should be more. I don't know. There were years that I did 2. There were years that I did 4 competitions. So, yeah, at least 8 to 10. Yeah.
I think a little bit more because I remember at the first DRC Cup or the first when it was in the big sport hall in Tilburg.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because you were still with your first coach then.
Yes.
And that's when first time I saw you, and that's the first year I competed as I coached at a competition. So I think you
it
must
might
have
be
at
more.
least like 14, 15.
Yeah, because there's also international. I don't know.
Way too many to
You
count.
should check on Open Powerlifting. Like it's all.
Oh
on
yeah,
there.
exactly. It's there. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's powerlifting as an athlete, and you guys also transitioned to powerlifting as coaching, and we have a whole episode about that. So I invite everyone to go give that a listen. How obvious was the choice to do both for you guys? Because there's powerlifting in itself, and most people are just powerlifters. They're not coaches. There's some people who are both, and there's a smaller group like me that are just coaches only and not competitive. So, how was for you guys? Was it an obvious thing to go do? Was it just an opportunity that it presented itself? Was it already in the planning from the beginning?
I think for me, it's very hard to stop talking about powerlifting once I start. So I'm just so excited about this sport that I want to make everybody excited about this sport. So for me, it came pretty naturally to feel that I needed to make other people excited as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So coaching is an extension of that excitement then for you.
Yeah, kind of.
That's a really good reason to start.
I agree with that answer. Like, I just have so much passion and excitement for the sport, and I just want to share that with other people. And I think maybe for me, because I've been self-coaching for 8 of those 10 competitions that I did. I only started with a coach like a little over a year ago.
Shout out
for the first time.
Shout out to Tano.
Tano the Pender.
Yeah.
Anyway, what was I saying?
Self-coaching.
And like I talked about a bit on the other episode about coaching, like I made a lot of mistakes myself, and I like helping people not make those same mistakes. You know, I like having people not miss their lifts because they step forward too quickly, or because they re-rack their bench, or because do some of the other stupid stuff I've done at competitions.
So it's kind of a reflection of like yourself also in your clients and your coaching.
Yeah, sort of.
So we talked about in previous episode as well about the whole preparedness part.
Yeah, that's the point that also I think is very important, that there are a lot of coaches who sometimes don't really know what they're doing, at least at a competition. We talked about this in the other episode. And I feel like I know the rules, and I think it's very important to teach the rules to other people, to also teach them about, maybe even kind of the history about the sport, to the referees who are sitting there. You see these old men sitting there. They are not just some random old man. They had a lot to do with the history of the sport.
They know what they're doing.
It's important to know who they are.
Yeah.
So also to teach them that.
So a culture part of it is then important for you. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
There's of course a big history and a big part of the culture, and I think that also then drips down into our responsibilities as coaches also to make sure that the class and etiquette of our team and our athletes at a competition also is up to par. Exactly. You have people go to competitions and they're like not rude, but they're not in keeping with the etiquette of the competition, what's expected of the competition. So that's also a bit of you're kind of responsible to making sure that people respect the sport, understand the culture, know what is what and who is who, and how to perform at their best within like the frame or boundaries of the sport and the culture. Because you have some people who are amazing athletes, but they're just, not very pleasant people to have around. So they kind of, stink up a competition real quick. Your latest competition you guys had was NK, right?
Yep.
You guys both competed. How did that go? Paint us a picture.
Pretty well.
Pretty well, yeah.
For both of us.
Yeah.
Like, for me...
You were in a stacked group.
Yeah, I was in a really stacked weight class. But that was fine because I wanted to compete at nationals for like a couple of years. So just getting there and being able to compete there already felt really awesome. And I almost had a perfect meet as far as my goals go. I just ended up missing my final deadlift. But other than that, it was,
How much was it again?
I ended up missing 292 and a half.
Damn, that's big weights.
Yeah.
That's big weights.
Would have given me my goal of 700 kilo total.
Yeah, that's a nice goal to have.
Yep.
Yeah, but especially in such a hella stacked weight class. Like, shout out to all those dudes. It was a really, really nice like competition in that weight class for sure. Yeah, it was hella impressive to see.
It was the weight class with the most competitors of the entire competition.
Yeah, it's always those weight classes. The minus 105, sometimes the minus 20. When minus 105, that's where a lot of the big boys stomp around.
Yep.
Yeah.
And for you, it went really well because you came back with some hardware.
Yeah, I got first place.
There you go.
Yeah, that was not expected at all. Because not because I haven't been training. Well, kind of because I haven't been training because I was pregnant, so I couldn't really train.
And you got mama power.
Yeah. Well, that got me first place. No, I think I did my best, and I'm very happy with how the competition went. I hadn't trained for I think I hadn't trained seriously for over a year, and then I really wanted to get back into competing, and so I had to qualify for nationals. So I did a qualification competition. Then I qualified, obviously. Then I did nationals, and I hadn't lifted any really heavy weights in preparing towards that competition. So I really didn't know what I could do. And in the weeks going, like the few weeks before the competition, I tried to figure out what my opener should be, what I should do, and everything. Just I couldn't. I just didn't know what I could do. I really, everything kind of felt the same, and I was kind of scared also because I hadn't touched those heavy weights in a long time. And then at the competition day, I just felt so happy, so hyped to be there, and I lifted way more than I thought that I could. Definitely not back at my old total, but still super happy with how I did. So and it got me first place. That was a big surprise.
And so, what were your squat, bench, and deadlifts?
I squatted 170 kilos. I benched 102.5 and deadlifts 202.5. Yeah, it's okay.
That's a decent, and especially considering that you mentioned that it wasn't at your old level.
Yeah, that's true.
And assuming that the old level is not only attainable but surpassable, that bodes well for confidence. Then that the next few meets coming up, maybe NK next year, you're going to be laying down a lot. We're going to bring a lot more fire to the platform.
We'll definitely keep training and see if we can do more than I did before.
Yeah, and you both mentioned that a big part of it was just getting to be there, and I think that speaks a lot to the powerlifting culture. Not only, but and not ignoring at all the fact that the organization did a fantastic job this year. I mean, shout out to all the vrijwilligers, all the volunteers, all the people who organized into the bond, because this NK was dope.
Yeah,
the venue was cool, the vibes were nice. I was pleasantly impressed when I got there. I was like, damn, this is well done. And you guys had a massive warm-up area too, which is not always the case because some venues just have limited space.
Yeah, this was awesome.
So you guys got to warm up. Like, I think you guys had more space to warm up than the crowd had. So
I think so too, yeah. But that's been something that has been getting better the last couple of years because the warm-up area for the SBD Cup last year was also really big.
Really
way
spacious.
Better than the years before.
And Myron, again, feel free to jump in because you are a CrossFitter, but you're also a weightlifter. Have you ever done competitions?
A few.
Yeah, weightlifting competitions specifically?
Weightlifting competitions, yeah.
How does, like, from a little bit you've heard about powerlifting, what do you think are, like, the big differences?
First of all, the movement.
Of course.
That first thing. Weightlifting is way more dynamically movement and more power explosive, I would say.
I mean more like the competition, not the lifts themselves, but
the competition-wise.
You think it's similar?
I think it's pretty similar.
Yeah?
Yeah, we have 3 lifts on the lifts, so I would say it's pretty similar.
3?
Yeah.
A snatch, clean and jerk.
No, so you have 3 attempts.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
3 attempts.
Yeah, I was like, it's like a whole lift I never knew about, like split snatches.
There used to be strict press.
Yeah, there used to be 3.
There used to be strict press. There used to be 3, but they with too many injuries. So
it's true.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But hearing what you've heard, are you maybe interested in trying it out one time?
I would like to try the one that you guys mentioned in the start of the podcast.
Yeah, SBD Cup.
SBD Cup.
The good thing for you is you're a natural athlete, and you have a really strong foundation. So I think it's a really small like transition in the lifts for you, and then you should do pretty well. I don't think you're gonna just. You're one of those guys who just randomly do competition and rank pretty good. That's my expectation of you. That's what I kind of get.
I hope so. I'm very competitive, so.
And that's exactly why.
Yeah.
So NK was your last meet. What you guys might consider your most memorable meet? Is there a competition that jumps out? You think, okay, this was my favorite competition to be at, or maybe it was NK. Was there a specific moment that you think, okay, this what sits in my head. This what really motivates me for the next meet, or what I hope to experience again in my next competition?
I think one of my favorite competitions was the Northside Barbell Cup in 2019.
Shout out to Northside.
Yeah, they're an awesome they're an awesome venue. I think I competed there like 3 times. Like, it's a long way away, but it's worth it.
It's worth it.
Yep. And that competition was especially memorable because it was the first time where I felt like I performed to my full capabilities. Like, there wasn't any missed lifts because of stupid, dumb shit. I was able to hit my expectations. And also just the meet itself was very well run. All the other competitors were super nice. It was just, everything was great.
Would you say that it's the first time that you really like felt or found your place in the sport? Because if you have like all the lifts went good in perfect meet, does it feel like that's when you kind of grew up in the sport and made a more serious step towards being an athlete?
It's I wouldn't necessarily say that it was the point where I made a more serious step. I think it was more so the point where I was experienced enough to actually perform on the platform the way I wanted to perform.
So maybe confidence then.
Yeah, confidence, but also just training in itself. So before, I'd sometimes have issues where I wanted to hit certain things. I thought I could hit certain things on the platform, but I couldn't. And it wasn't because I was maybe doing anything wrong, but more so because my expectations were wrong. And
expectations management is a big thing.
And by the time I did the North Star Barbell Cup 2019, I think that was my 5th competition. I've been competing for 2.5 years, so I learned from all the mistakes I did at previous competitions, and I was actually able to set some reasonable goals and then actually hit those goals.
Nice. That speaks towards a skill of having one good expectation management. Managing expectations is like really kind of it's underrated skill in my opinion. And good goal setting is also something that both important as an athlete and as a coach. Because for yourself is important as an athlete. That's what you do with your coaches, but you as a coach for your athletes, knowing how to set proper goals. And we all see people who open way too heavy a competition. Like your first attempt at a competition shouldn't be a grinder. It should be smooth sailing. I always teach my clients, I have a really simple philosophy for the attempt selection. I tell them the first attempt, that's for the judges and for the volunteers. So the judges and volunteers should know that, one, you respect the sport, where you are, you know the rules. They don't have to check for your butt coming off the bench or not on command. Spotters are safe. Everyone's good. They don't have to worry about you. So the first attempt is for the judges and the volunteers. Second attempt is for your coach. You guys did it together. He's put in time. He or she has put in time. You guys were together. You have been taught something. There's an investment from the coach's side as well. So the second attempt is for the coach. To know that he or she is not there for nothing. The third attempt is for you. That's where you get to shine. That's where it's a culmination. Usually the PR comes in the third attempt. The record attempt comes in the third attempt. So that last one is for you. You're already in the meet. You didn't bomb out. You have enough attempts in the pocket to be competitive and to rank. The third one is for you. So the first one is always for the judges. Second one for the coach. Third one is for you. And usually when I explain to people, it makes complete sense because they know, okay, so the first one's for the judges. That means that I want no weird things, easy rep. You should be able to do a triple of this. Everyone feels safe. Spotters don't have to worry about, okay, this person's going to dump the weight on me if they miss it. I was going to ask Leontine something. Most memorable moment for you?
Well, there's 2 competitions that come to mind. One is Europeans in 2019. That was my 2nd international competition. And to be on the stage at European Championships, that's a big thing in itself.
That's a big deal.
To be being qualified to go there or getting the kwalificatie-eis doesn't mean that you get invited to go there. So being invited on the first place is just a huge honor.
Absolutely.
And then being there with all the other athletes from all around Europe and with the Dutch team is like, kind of feels like you're going on a camp. It's like a powerlifting camp, but super serious because everybody's competing and nervous and some people have to make weight, but everybody's there to support each other. And the vibe is just so good. I really, really enjoyed that because that felt like now it's getting serious for me. And that definitely made me eager to reach those goals again of going to international competitions. The sad thing was that I was qualified for Worlds actually, and then COVID came, and then Worlds was cancelled. Yeah, so
I was when COVID happened, I was also coaching someone who qualified for World's Masters in South Africa. So I was like, you know what? Irenos is doing well. I got awesome staff. I was like, I might be able to actually join her and coach her at this one, or just be there to coach. So that was the first time I thought, this would be my debut to go, and then fucking COVID happened and ruined that too. So I think COVID pooped on a lot of people's hopes. But that you said you had 2. That was the first one.
Yeah, it's true. So actually, last Nationals was also very special because I went into that competition actually pretty relaxed because I didn't have any expectations. I didn't expect to even get on a podium. So of the, how many competitors were there? 6, I think, in my class.
Yeah,
or
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. 6 or 7. I expected to have to fight for the podium, to have to fight for 3rd place. And so I was very relaxed, and I just soaked up the vibe, and I was just talking to people, having fun. I was listening to my music and feeling pretty relaxed about all my lifts because it wasn't, I tried what I could. I did my best for the day, and I didn't have high expectations. So being not nervous at a competition was a first.
You get nervous quickly, you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, I get always nervous before squats, always. And then when squats are done, I feel more relaxed because bench feels like you can lie down and it's easy. It's not like that, of course.
You can look up and not look at the judges in the crowd.
Yeah, it's easier. But once squats are in the pocket, I also think that's the most scary lift to do. So once those are done, I feel better, and then it feels like smooth sailing. It's not, but it's still. I mean, you still have to work hard, but it's easier after that.
I think what you guys experience is just after the first squat, then you're in the flow. And
Exactly.
then it's the perfect balance of like excitement and challenge that you stay in the flow, and then you're able to just cruise through it and do what you got to do.
Yeah, and having those first numbers on the board is also like, okay, you're in now.
Yeah.
There's a squat. There's a squat on the board that counts. There's at least a weight for that. If you miss your 2nd and 3rd attempt, you're fine. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, that would suck, but it doesn't matter because one squat in the pocket. Yeah.
Like speaking as a coach, because I've coached as soon as we started Iron Stuff coaching. I think I've coached at least in the first 4 years until COVID, at least 3 or 4 times a year in competitions. I tried to count it last time how many competitions I've actually coached, but that became too hard. So I started checking how many athletes I've coached in competitions. It was somewhere north of 30 that I've actually coached. I've talked to Roy about this because you're going to have the same kind of experience I have at SBD Cup. I've had SBD Cup on Saturday. I had 5 people to coach, and a few of them were in the same groups as well. And then the next day I had to compete myself, and then the midday I had 2 people to coach.
Oh, wow.
And the SBD before that, I had 2 people at the same time with 2 different platforms.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and that was really bad. Like, no one should do that. You should just find someone else to coach. But one of them was a person that was there just for fun. There was no expectations. He just wanted to lift, so he didn't mind. I asked him beforehand, like, I'm going to have to run back and forth. It was the SBD Cup where the lights kept getting fucked with. So remember that there was a strip in the back where all the warm-up racks were, and there were 2 platforms on each side, and the lights kept going on and off the whole time. So I had to run in the back and jump over barbells and shit with lights going off. I fucking almost tripped like 5 times.
Oh, no.
I think that was SBD Cup 2017, where they still had that warm-up room.
Yeah. Oh man, that was intense.
That one when Gina was there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Gino the Pirate.
Yeah.
Gino the Pirate was awesome. I'll show you Gino the Pirate later on. But speaking as a coach, that first attempt jitter is also real because you went all the way there and you have this whole plan, and if your athlete misses the first lift, then you know, okay, for the next 3.5 hours, I might be dealing with a very sour person or very like nervous or anxious person. So the anticipation of having to deal with that situation as a coach is also, you just, every time if someone doubts, should I squat open a little bit heavier? Be like, no, let's just open, and you can always make a bigger jump afterwards. Just let's make sure we're in the meat.
Yeah.
And I notice what that happens here. Lots of people, they overestimate like the bench because there's a lot more factors. Like the bench might be slippery, the handoff from the spotter. If you're in the second group of the day, as soon as you're not in the first group of the first day, there's going to be chalk on the carpet. So there's always that factor that people have to worry about. So The first bench, people underestimate it. Like, go light, so make sure you're in the pocket so you know. So you can, the second attempt, you get the person, okay, that handoff needs to be a little bit easier, etc.
That chalk on the floor almost messed me up on the SBD Cup last time.
Yeah.
Because some people who are listening might have seen it, but what I do is I lift my hips up from the bench to help myself unrack the bar. So obviously use a lot of leg drive with that. But there was so much chalk on the floor that my feet were slipping. So I was like, okay, I'll not lift my hips up. Lifted the bar out, but now the lift off was all weird, and the bar already started coming down because they didn't have any leg drive.
Oh no!
And the funny thing is, we actually opened a little heavier because I wanted to open a little heavier. Felt like I could. And then that first attempt, I got it, but it looked a little messed up. And I walked back to the tunnel, and he was like, he didn't look very confident.
What was that? What's the next competition you guys come up? Are you doing SPD as well because you're coaching a lot?
Yeah, I'm doing SPD Cup.
Are you doing SPD Cup?
I'm not planning on doing SPD Cup myself. I actually don't have a definite competition yet.
Okay.
I am hoping to get invited to do Western Europeans this year. That would be really awesome.
That'd be really awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to coach at SBD Cup?
I would love to coach at SBD Cup, definitely.
Yeah?
Yes.
Well, I'll sign you up. Don't worry, I got you. It's no longer up to you, by the way. I'm gonna send an email, and Roy will take it. Roy corresponds with KNKF. We'll get you squared away.
All right.
I gotta sign up a lot of people to the KNKF, so
Yeah, exactly. Like you should get like a commission, like an ambassador discount.
Yeah.
Use Roy 15 for 50% discount on your membership. Let me see my questions. What do you guys notice in powerlifting competitions that either coaches or athletes struggle with the most?
I think just lifting to competition standards. That's
Okay.
something I see go wrong, especially with new competitors, where they haven't really lifted the competition standards in training, which causes them to indirectly open too heavy, because maybe they've squatted a little high in training, and then they missed their first attempt on depth. But obviously you can't go back down, so now your opener is actually just too heavy. Same with stuff like, maybe
Training with the commands.
Yeah, training with commands, or also if you're pretty strong, just lifting on competition plates versus lifting with a whippy barbell and some bumper plates really makes a difference on stuff like deadlifts.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that definitely makes a difference. I also think that new coaches struggle with having to fill out the attempt cards and giving them to the right person, and then knowing what happens or knowing what's smart to do when someone misses a lift, or what happens if you give your attempt card too late because there's only 1 minute to tell them to give the attempt card for the next lift. Those rules are very important to know. There are people sitting there at the table to put all the information in the computer, to make sure the monitors show the right weight, to show the right person, to determine the volgorde, the order of the people of the lifts. That has to make their work easy. It's important to know what you're doing. So do not fill out the attempt cards before the competition starts, because that happens, that people say, okay, my first lift is this, my first lift is this. I have filled out all the attempt cards. Yeah, no, sometimes middle competition you want to change some stuff.
And also, like, to piggyback off that more specifically, don't fill... I see this happen a lot. I've seen this happen at every competition, even with experienced coaches. Don't fill in the squat attempt card for the second squat and put the second attempt in the first attempt vakje.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So you have an attempt card, you have first, second, or third. The first card, the first vakje is for if you are on time and want to change your opener.
Yeah, exactly.
When you hand in your second attempt, you have to write it down on the second attempt place.
Yeah.
I see so often that guys, like, the person makes the first attempt, everyone's happy and excited. Okay, we're going to do 10 kilos heavier. And they fill it in the first one. And depending who you have sitting at the competition table, they'll reject it. They'll tell you this is not correct. So I have to scratch it out to fill it in correctly. People who don't sign their attempt card. That's what you can do beforehand. Sign all the attempt cards as soon as you get there.
Yeah, put your name on there. That's also very important. Yeah, I have some experience sitting behind the table as well, because I think it's important to as a competitor, as a coach, I think it's also important to give back to the sport. So I am also a volunteer at competitions. I sit behind the table and take the attempt cards from people, put them in the sheet, and keep everything in order, like doing the administratie during a competition. So yeah, I see a lot of this happening. Yeah.
I think my biggest tip is, because we've gone to a lot of competitions with big groups. My first competition was with 6 people from Iron House. And I wasn't responsible for all of them, but I was coaching 5 of them myself. So I knew for sure it was my first time going to competition, and I thought I was going to get there. Everyone was going to be hyper prepared. I thought every top person had 2 or 3 coaches, or whatever, because I come from a different sport mentality. Like in American football, you have coaches for everything. You have a coaching for the quarterbacks, coaching for. So I was like, I'm going to be the new kid on the block, the newest gym, fresh. I'm so like newbie in the situation. So I practiced my workflow. I looked at a lot of like competitions and like the time, like how long things go. So I practiced my workflow a lot. And I think a lot of coaches have a problem with that. So one, getting there on time, knowing the first 4 things you got to do. So when to weigh in, how to weigh in. Don't be afraid to just go to the platform and check your rack heights. If it's not the same rack you use in the gym, if they're using a Lyco and it's ER equipment used in the gym, there's always a sheet there for you to fill in your rack heights. The first thing you do, if even before like you even know where the attempt cards are, just at least go check your rack heights. Write it down, make sure it's set, get your attempt cards, go weigh in, inform, find out where everything is. Make sure you know, like a lot of people, I told more other coaches, clients where the bathroom is than they've told themselves. Know where the bathroom is, especially with female lifters. They might have to go to the bathroom after every attempt, especially on deadlift. So make sure you can direct them towards the bathroom. You shouldn't have a client say, "Hey coach, what's this?" And like, I don't know, go figure it out. Have a workflow. Know what the timing is competition. Know when to start warming up, when to stop warming up, when to be ready at the platform. If you hear bars loaded for this person, great houden, 1, 2, and 3, and your client's number 3, you got to start going towards the platform. So having a good workflow and understanding where it goes, as soon as the attempt is done, you're excited and you're all cheering and shit and everyone's hyped and throwing belts around and everything. Cool, but you still have 1 minute to fill in the attempt card. So you have to have a plan already and make your athlete shut the fuck up and tell you what attempt we're going for, or unless you decide yourself. And I think that one of my important things too, because I see a lot of people panic with this in competitions, especially at NK, especially when you're around 2nd to 3rd attempt deadlift. Learn how to read the board. Powerlifting math is not hard. Know how to read the rankings. Know how to read the attempts and where you are. Know what happens when the person you're competing against makes or misses the lift, and judging you based on that. I've had competitions where someone made the 2nd attempt deadlift, but the person who they were hoping that would miss it didn't miss it. And all of a sudden it was like, oh shit, can you do it for me? And they throw me the attempt cards and I had to run quickly to the board to fill it in. So learning how practice, watch competitions, watch reruns on YouTube and shit. Know how to do powerlifting math. Know what it means, what the rankings at the end of the cell means, and what it does with your attempts. The total is not your total if you haven't given the 3rd attempt in yet and you haven't made the lift yet. So powerlifting math is super, super important when you're going to competition, because I've seen one of my favorite moments of your competition was also in Tilburg when you were competing against Irish, and it was like a neck and neck competition. It was really like a do or die. I think it was one where your 3rd attempt was based on passing her if she made her 3rd, but I think she missed her 3rd, and then you scaled back your attempt real quick on deadlifts. I think 2.5 kilos or 5 kilos to make it. So it was really like a neck and neck situation. It was like 2.5 kilo difference, and the whole vibe, everyone was like so suspenseful, and you were there with your music, like a fucking murder face on and shit. And
I actually think it was the other way around, that we kind of pushed her to make a certain weight.
Oh yeah, that was
then,
yeah.
If she would miss it, then I would have won. But she didn't miss it.
No.
So she fairly won.
Yeah.
But that was just such a nail biter. That was
I
remember
suspenseful.
sitting like kind of like, what do you call it, backstage. And I remember sitting on my knees, kind of like, because I didn't know what to do with myself. And I was just, did she make it? Did she make it? Did she make it? And then she made it. And I was super happy for her because, of course, hey, fair and square. But
you have to have your graceful loser face, like,
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's fair. Yeah,
You know?
of course. And that's what I actually really like about powerlifting. The weights don't lie. So if somebody lifts more than you do, they are stronger. They won that day.
fair is fair.
I mean, other day can be different, but at that moment, so that was such a nail biter. That was very exciting.
I think that's my favorite part of powerlifting. Why the coaching aspect always to me seemed like so much fun. Just powerlifting as a culture, it's one of the few sports where it's an individual sport, but it still feels like a team sport. Of course, it's easy to be, super fun and friendly with everyone who's ranked like 4 places lower than you, but there's never really like a bad vibe. I've seen people compete against each other, like Dre versus Bob and shit, and so everyone's like, that the person has to miss for the person to win, but everyone's still so nice to each other. It's so warm. Like Sebastian Templar is like the best example. Like he hugs everyone, even people who he competes against, he hugs and shit. He's such a nice guy. But powerlifting is one of the few sports where it's individual. You're there to beat everyone, point for point. There's no way to influence someone else's lifts. Like it's not like you're doing like basketball that, if I'm a little bit better, I can take the ball away. But it's so friendly. It's so everyone cheers for each other. There's been moments where 2 people have tried to like take records from each other. The second attempt, Delle was already a record, and the second attempt, the other person had a record. So you see the person who's about to have his record broken, like cheer and shit, like high five and hugs and shit. It's such a wonderful, warm vibe. And you notice that here also. I mean, the Dutch aren't the most warm, loving people, but even here, it's just so you feel like you're part of something super special. Everyone's cheering and shouting, and even from the person who is ranked last. But that the second attempt squat was really, really tricky and is going 2.5 kilo heavier. Everyone wants him to make it. So everyone's cheering you on. Yeah. When a person grinds, everyone screams, whether he's your competitor or not, whether he has to miss this for you to win first place. Yeah. You're also cheering for that person. Yeah. It's beautiful.
Everybody wants the other person to win.
Yeah.
Like nobody wants the other person to fail.
Yeah.
And you hear that in the crowd as well. Everybody's cheering for any lift. Doesn't matter what weight class, doesn't matter what weight. Everybody's cheering for everybody.
That's something I always... I also have always laughed about the sport.
Yes.
Even, like you mentioned, even among competitors, because I competed with some of the guys that you mentioned, like Dre and Tano. Obviously, Tano's my coach, and like they were all super friendly, even though they were like legit competing against each other. And something, the thing about people cheering for every lift that sort of looks hard, I always tell that to people. But then they're sort of like, yeah, you're strong, like sure, whatever. And I've told you guys this before about my sister, about how she deadlifted 100 kilos at her mock meet. She was the lightest lifter of the entire weekend, and still people cheered just as
everyone
hard.
Screamed.
Of course.
Yeah,
everyone screaming.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, same with Nick too. Like Nick had I think on his last squat, he had a proper grinder.
Yeah, 145.
Yeah, everyone in the gym was screaming. Like I think people stopped pouring coffee to start yelling because just... You don't even know why, but you just do it because you know it's supposed to.
Yeah.
And it's such a beautiful vibe. I don't know if it's the same thing in your experience for weightlifting, for CrossFit, for example.
For CrossFit, it's the same. For weightlifting, it's a little bit more competitive, though. That we don't, most of the time, didn't see the competitor cheer for the other one. But in CrossFit, I did.
Yeah, but I think for weightlifting, cheering doesn't... Because there's no grinder lifts. Like in weightlifting,
true.
You either get it or you don't.
Yeah,
Like
that's a good point.
It's so quick. And in powerlifting, we obviously sometimes have these big grinders where people are just taking like sometimes even 10 seconds to just make
there's
a lift.
time for you to cheer. Yeah.
True. Maybe for the people, can you describe what a grinder is?
A grinder is just a really, really hard and a slow lift. Like something that's... Like it's moving, but it's barely moving.
Yeah, it's
sometimes it's so slow where the bar actually legit stops, where it stops for multiple seconds, and they just keep pushing and pushing, and then it starts moving slowly and slowly, slowly.
It's so hard that you have to grind it out. It's not smooth. Yeah, but again, I think that culture a lot of people don't expect from powerlifting once they start, and why the first competition is so addictive for them, and why they want to keep competing is because people, even in this mock meet that we had a few weeks ago, people who did it the first time. They're still high on that shit. They're still completely elated, and they can't wait for the next one because just the vibe was so good. Everyone was so nice. You meet so many people. All of a sudden, you're hugging and cheering on people who you never spoke to before, and that's just It's a really, really good vibe. One of my favorite moments in competition also was Enka with Roy. Your family was there, and I was sitting next to a few homies from Iron House, and I knew that it was Roy's family because I met his dad beforehand, and he greeted them. So Roy's grandma was there, and on the board at a competition, you have the person's name, what attempt they're doing, and which group they're from, which team or organization they're from, which federation of which gym. And I think it was someone that you were who was it again? It was someone had Iron House on it. Who else competed in NK?
Nobody else, was just Leontine and me.
Oh yeah, it was Leontine.
Yeah.
So
we were in the same session.
so the grandma recognized Iron House Co. from Roy's board. So then when you came to lift, I think on your second attempt, whatever, she cheered along. She was like, yeah, goed zo. And she's Iron House, so she asked the person next to me, like, zij is ook eentje van ons, toch?
Oh yeah,
van ons. Yeah, exactly. And then someone said, ja, ze is ook van Iron House. Ja, goed zo. So she was like so into it. And the way she asked, like, she's also one of ours, right? Yeah? Okay, cool. Yeah, cool. Yay! And as soon as you realized that you're from Iron House, the cheers got a lot harder because she just, I guess, assumed you guys were teammates in that sense.
Yeah.
It was
true,
fucking adorable. And she was so into it. And then she saw me taking pictures of Roy. And she was like, out of nowhere, I just happened to look a little bit in her direction. She stuck her hand out like, hi, Oma van Roy. Like super proud and everything. It was fucking adorable.
Oh, it's so great that she was there.
Yeah. And that's the kind of vibes that a powerlifting competition creates. That's what you can expect. So I highly recommend anyone, if you're going to experience it yourself, for example, with SBD Cup, but anyone, if you are powerlifting, sign up for a meet, try even a beginner's competition. Just the vibe is worth it in that alone. Agreed?
Yes, definitely, yeah.
Awesome. I think
and maybe talking about, because before we were talking about how there are some people that don't know the rules and other kind of stuff. So maybe there's people that might get discouraged by that. But if you're discouraged by that, please don't, because there's always people willing to help you. Because we mentioned some examples, and those are some of the things I saw happen last 2 weekends. And it's sort of a shame that it happens, but I was also helping those same people to not make those mistakes anymore, because I saw people who didn't know how a competition was really run, so I just explained to them how a competition is run. Because I think coaches should know that, but if they don't know that, I'm obviously going to help them.
Yeah, it's a very kind and helpful culture in that sense as well.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it might be a good idea to do a whole episode just on like the rules of competitive powerlifting. So if there was ever a podcast episode for someone that you listen to this and you understand everything you understand competition, let's do that one time as well.
Yeah.
So then, so we can make sure there's always one place people can go from. We'll start from the beginning, from prep to getting to the meet, lifting through. We'll do an episode with that. So we've just decided. So stay tuned for that one. And that was fun, guys. Thanks for the lovely chat. And I look forward to seeing all of you continue to compete. I'll be joining the Pain and the Fury in SBD Cup. And I'm looking forward to this man's debut of probably making it look easier than it needs to be.
We'll
buddy.
be there.
Yeah.
Pressure.
All right, guys. Don't forget to check out this podcast on all your favorite places. We also have a video version on YouTube for those who want to watch as they listen. Saying that now, I realize that that's only if I manage to record it properly and upload it, but I hope it's going to be a video version. Like the podcast, share it with your friends. This podcast is dedicated to our Iron House gym, our community, our members. So if you enjoy it, share it with someone, and we'll see you for the next one.
See ya.
Yeah.
Bye.
Done.
Awesome.
Tot zover podcastaflevering van een half uur.
Ja.